Do you believe Joe Biden fairly won the 2020 presidential election? Please answer yes or no and say why or why not. Clerk McGrane.
Ryan, I think it's so interesting that you asked that question because it's a reflection of just where we are and so many of the current concerns that have come out of the 2020 election. Joe Biden was elected president during that election, but one of the things I've seen and experienced as I've traveled around the state is the concerns that Idaho voters have. I think when most Idahoans reflect on their voting experience and heading to the polls and the poll workers there checking them in, they feel confident about their elections locally. But when they look across the country, there are many concerns, even the reactions like we watched in Arizona in terms of how they handled the post-election process. But one of the big things I want to do as Secretary of State is make sure that Idahoans feel confident that when they drop their ballot in the ballot box, that your vote will count, and that your vote will count just the same as anyone else, and that no one is tampering with our elections. We have a great election system here in the state, and I'm going to do everything I can to continue to ensure that well into the future.
Senator Souza, same question.
Thank you, Ryan. I have a different opinion. I do not think that Joe Biden won the presidential election, but he has been named president, and that's been certified. So I'm not suggesting we would go back, but we have to learn from what happened. And there were many things. I will call it death by 1,000 cuts, as the Chinese would put it. It was ballot harvesting. It was ballot boxes that were either videotaped but they were not manned. It was a lot of small changes in law that were significant during the COVID crisis in many of the swing states. And they were not done legally by the state legislatures. They were done by judges or secretaries of state. I am a member of the Honest Election Project, which is only a dozen legislators across the country. And we get together twice a year for intense workshops with election experts. All of the other 11 legislators are from swing states, like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and more. And we have the opportunity now to look back and see what happened in those states. Wisconsin is coming out with a shocking 150-page report about what happened in their state, being done by their Office of Special Investigations. It's incredible, and I will refer to it later. But we have to have our eyes wide open in Idaho and say we have to secure our system. Even if we don't have fraud right now, it is coming, and it is all around us, and we need to make sure we have a safe system.
Representative Moon.
Same question?
Yes.
No. I think there was a big problem when we noticed at 11 o'clock at night all of the battleground states decided to go to bed, and then they were going to start back up at 8, 9, or 10 in the morning. In my lifetime, I had never seen that happen, nor had most Americans who stay up that late to watch for the results. So sadly, the fact of the matter is we had to deal with it. Everyone was in shock. A lot of us, based on polling, President Trump should have been reelected. 65% of the people in this state voted for Trump, the highest in the entire nation. As a legislator, most phone calls that I have received and most emails and most personal contacts has all been about election integrity issues ever since that election. In fact, it was so bad that I decided to go out and meet with people. I went on a tour from December on and met with thousands and thousands of people in 4 months at 40 different venues on weekends while I was in session. And the biggest issue was, without a doubt, how come we didn't join the Texas lawsuit the minute that this lawsuit came about? And it took our lieutenant governor to file an amicus brief in which 40 legislators signed on to, and I was one of them. In fact, I was one of only 11 to sign on to a petition for a forensic audit. So I'm very concerned about what has happened. We cannot let it happen again, and Idaho needs to be the beacon on the hill and show that our elections will not be compromised and that we will definitely fight to make sure that there is no doubt in our system.
How exactly would you rebuild that trust if you think that it failed so monumentally?
Thanks, Melissa. Well, the way I'd try to do it, first of all, is make sure that we have a secure election act that actually got through the legislature this year. I brought a bill forward that would have tightened up identification as far as residency requirements, things you could and couldn't use, and citizenship. In citizenship, I'm sure will be a question coming up here pretty soon. In affidavits, we're allowing people to sign a piece of paper saying they are who they are, and we give them a ballot. and upon receipt of that ballot, they vote it, and then maybe a few days later, the clerk might find out, hey, this person doesn't live in this county. They just filed an illegal ballot, which means you have just been canceled out. And we cannot allow any illegal vote to take out a legal vote in this state. And that is what I will do. And hopefully, working with the legislature, we can get rid of the affidavits. We can tighten things up, at least that are photo ID is not a reasonable requirement. We have to have government-issued photo ID to receive a ballot.